welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video. I am back a little bit still recovering from COVID, and sorry for any kind of lack of content, but hey, we're trying out here. Today we have Towa, which either one really. She's not really inanimate. Please stop staring at the picture. I think she is quite good, a little underrated as far as the set 17 archetypes go. I think not enough people kind of talk to her, but she does have some glaring, very obvious weaknesses, and a little bit, as at least how I play it, some restrictions of what you can and can't do in the deck as well. But overall, she's very fun. She has a great turn 3/4. She has some awesome tools that are very specific to her in that archetype, or at least the character traits. And there's some backfill, or at least some backwards compatibility. I'm thinking about like Xbox and PlayStation type of things, but like definitely some support that we've seen in previous sets that you can use in this leader. Of course, subscribe if you are new. Let me know what you think, and as well as any other archetypes that you want to see in the future. You can always support by using the links below, and of course our sponsor Mystic TCG if you want to order anything specific. All right, let's talk about the leader. I'm sure you've seen her by now, but the things with this is that she doesn't draw on the front side, sadly. You kind of trade that off with all the things that you get, which basically is a quote-unquote, you don't really see my hands, but quote-unquote draw one and using or creating a token, because that is technically a draw one on the field where you can combo it out. And of course you can attack with it, which we'll kind of talk about in a little bit. But she doesn't draw. She when you attack, which you have to attack, which is kind of whack. I wish she was able to activate main. You do end up having a 5/5 token, 5k power and 5k combo, and then at 4 or 3 or less life, or if you have a black unison and specify cost of 3, you get to untap 2 energy and then play a token. So you effectively get 2 tokens, one on the awaken and one on the attack, after you awaken or before. After you awaken, of course, you now get to draw, which is awesome, which is basically what you want post turn 3. You get to make another token, but the activate main is that you get to discard 2 or 1 card from your hand, and you can make 2 Demon Realm Shoulder tokens in rest mode. And they're in rest mode because I guess it's like a 2-for-1 basically. If you end up using it in active mode or getting into active mode, basically you have 10k power for 1 dead card in your hand. Could be unison, could be something else, but it is still pretty important that you have tokens on the field, because everything kind of revolves around tokens in this deck. Activate battle is that you get to pay 1 and then choose one of your black unison cards with 3 or more, and it gains 10k power and double strike for the battle. So you do play a 20k unison, and it's now a 30k unison, which is nice because not many things interact with the unison, so that's pretty nice to have. The only downside of this is that it does require spirit boost, so if you're at 1 marker on your unison and you're trying to go for game attacking with it, you can't use it but paying 1 and spirit boost, and everything is just revolves around spirit boost. Is just so annoying. But that is the balance, because you do in turn get a lot of attackers for cheap, or at least some cool attackers. Basically the plan is, which we'll go through in the steps, or the turn 1, 2, 3, and 4, is to play the unison and then be able to play all this other stuff with the tokens and things like that. But turn 1 and 2, these things are live. It's interesting that you really only need a token on the board in order to play the salsa or the shroom. The salsa looks at the top 5 for a black aandroidd card, a black demon god card, or a black unison card, and specify cost of 3 among them. And this is pretty much the most important card to play early if you don't have something in your hand that you are pretty much planning to use. Like, this is just the best card that you could use in general, or like to start out your turns. The second one does have critical, which for 15k critical, that you really just need a token on the board, which is very easy through your leader and other means. It is very good just to have a 15k swing that also ignores barrier as long as you have the spirit boost, which nice. I mean, the spirit boost is okay. I think there are specific instances, like if you want to remove a Poutine, if you want to go against like Trunks of Vegeta and remove one of their barrier cards, since it is 4 or less, it does have quite a big range, and this card can be clutch in those type of situations. We also have the 1-drop Towa. You get to play this and draw 1, and then you get to play up to 1 token if you don't draw. Most of the time you do want to take a draw. It's really not very often that you don't want to, or you do want to make a token. Your leader is built in for that when you awaken. I can't really think of too many instances that would be better to make a token. But a cool thing is that you get to play remove a token from the game, and then you get to play a 2 or less skillless card from your deck, and it comes in pretty important when you're playing the Demigod promo. And they also have a evolve at the bottom left here, where we have the energy cost of 2 or less, which is going to be these 1-drops and the other 1-drops that we've had before. And you also get to play the card and choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards at any cost of 4 or less, and then set it to the warp. So there's a 15k attacker for 1 again, and you get to remove something. And then I really like this version of, it's like a black Turles, this Towa down here, but this actually has deflect, which is nice because now you get to pay 2, and then you get to choose 2 of your skillless battle cards and remove them from the game. It doesn't necessarily have to be tokens, but those are the easiest. And then when it attacks, you get to draw 1, and then switch it to active mode, so it's a dual attacker, and it becomes a 25k dual attacker for 2 energy on 3. I think she is pretty good. It is just weird to pay 2 if you aren't like finishing the game. I think it's nice to have to build a board, but you build a board through the salsas and shrooms because they don't really have a limit on how many you can play, or really just like unique in general, or just like your activate main limits. So I mean, those are going to be your primary attackers outside of the poutine package. So I don't know, Towa's all right. And then finally we have the unison. We have the +1 to make 2 tokens. These are actually played in active mode, so it's technically you play this and now you have 2 tokens that you can swing with or have as 10k power in total. Or you get to, which I usually do, remove one of your skillless battle cards from the game. Doesn't have to be a token. Draw 1 and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the warp, and it's pretty useful in those cases, in my opinion. And then at the start of your opponent's turn, you get to gain blocker for one of your opponent's or your skillless battle cards. So it can be we're gonna take a look at the gravy or one of your tokens, which again, you're gonna have tokens in general. Overall, pretty cool lineup for support cards. And now we're taking a look at some of the older ones and newer ones at the same time. I personally play the poutine package. If anything, you play the 1-drop to swap, and you've seen this before with my previous deck profiles and just general, or you just look at the top 3 and basically get anything you want. You can get the demon gods, you can get the evil wizard, you can get the demon realm weight race. Everything in your deck is pretty much searchable by this card, and as well as salsa. So I can't think of you bricking or just like not seeing what you see. And this deck does have quite a bit of a ceiling to be successful in, because I think it just takes a little bit of time and effort to like not die, or at least to kill on an appropriate turn. So yeah, one into any of these 3, which the poutine, that's the best poutine that we have, and is playable by Demigod over here by the promo, and it creates a token, which is what you want. It's a blocker, and it draws you 1, and it has dual attack 25k basically, 25k on the first one anyway. But we also have the barrier 3-drop, which does make you 2 tokens in rest mode, and while it is in rest mode, it can't, your opponent can't attack your leader card with battle cards. So this is pretty nifty because they're basically just going to be swinging at your tokens that is in rest mode. Yeah, we also have not pictured the one that takes control, which is also awesome. I just didn't include it in this one because it has enough removal, and it's not, I don't really care too much about removal in this deck, simply because I just want to kill you turn 3 or 4 and just out advantage you. Then also you have activate main. You have a skillless battle card in play. You get to play it in your hand. It's a blocker for 14k, which is really annoying. I wish it was 16k. I don't know why they did it to this card with no protection, but oh well. It says if your looted card is a black demon realm race, you choose one of your tokens and remove it from the game. You play up to 1 skillless battle card. Energy cost of 2 or less from your deck or drop area, and then you get to shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this kind of plays into the gravy. Basically, if you draw it, I mean, the whole thing of it with cycling through your deck and using everything that you can, is that you play the poutine, you bottom deck the gravy, and then you play the gravy from the demigra, or you can pitch the gravy from your leader and then play it out with the poutine or the 1-drop Towa over here. And it just kind of goes with literally everything. I just love the design of Towa, and as well as the supporting cards that they have. But again, the lineup for poutine, any of these poutines can be played from the demigra, basically because gravy and poutine, they're very careful with the character names. You can just play them from your deck or warp. And again, the gravy is great because now you have a 20k beat stick that you can play on turn 2. We have the salsa that you can return itself, the vanilla that is, and then when you actually do attack, you get to warp a card from their drop area and then play out another 2 costs, which can be another gravy, another skillless 1-drop, or even this 1-drop, and they proc off, so that way you can chain into that, or into the next card basically. So overall, again, really fun stuff, really awesome stuff from this deck, and as well as just the archetype in general. I really had a lot of fun building and just finding a right build for it. I think this build is pretty cool, and we're going to take a look at it in just a second. Other supporting cards, you could play the Kid Coup and the 4-star ball package. Basically, your tokens become 15k attackers with 4-star balls, or your skillless 2 drops can be 30ks now. And speaking of, the fin is very specific to this new 1-drop here. Basically, you get to play place a fin from your hand or drop area underneath the card, which you can pitch from your leader, so that way you're not negging a card out. That is, you can do it previously, and then you get to play a mirror of 4 costs from your deck or drop, which is going to be this one, and of course it draws you a card. And when it's played, you get to choose one of your bonus battle cards and send it to warp, so just easy removal. And if you have 3 or more energy, you place 1 card underneath the card into the drop area and play a skillless card. Energy cost of 2 from your drop area, and it gains 6k power for the battle. So this one is an activate battle. It comes a 25k. Is it worth doing that? Basically, you just kind of play out Finn after you play out Mira for 1, 2, or 3 energy, basically. I don't personally think so. I think pretty much none of this has protection, and you're relying on just good old Dragon Ball mechanics to remove and swing with the 25 and 15, or 20k really. And I don't think that's really that great in really any format nowadays. And then lastly, we have the Mira promo, where you overwhelm for 3 and you use the tap 3, replaces itself, and you just warp something, which is usually just a Towa, and you're playing a bunch of Towas, and then you use or play out a 7 cost afterwards in active mode. So very cool, very awesome. It's always been a great TP. And it's pretty expensive still. My list. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I teched it out enough to be okay. I think the previous Towa list that topped the PPG event has given me some inspiration for, they're probably just ratios, but really what you have to focus on is 4 of the unison, 4 of the salsa and the shroom, and then pretty much anything else is going to be up to you and your choice. Because it just depends on what direction you want to take the deck. And personally, I would like to focus on swinging with the poutines, swinging with the 15ks, and then just out advantaging with the unison. We have a couple of overwhelm choices. The Mira is searchable by the salsa, which is nice, and then you'll just also have the double striking 3 attacker, which is just also really good. The petrification main is just for really anything. Nowadays, you can always slip up someone with the U7 Vegeta secret rare, or just U7 Goku in general. You know, just things like that. I think 2 of them probably is going to be okay, because you're playing out 53 cards. You're going to be bursting out a good amount of them with the demigra promo, and just overall how much you draw later in the game. You don't draw early in the game, but you do draw later in the game, and you just kind of cycle through everything. The Mecha Gabora is nice because what happens is that sometimes you use Spirit Boost for this, or for the swap, or for really anything else, and the Empower kind of helps you either to pay to 0 or pay to 1 to get to 3 or 4 markers after you use the Mira effects. The Mira is just awesome, but realistically, when you're at 2 markers or less and passing to their turn, you're gonna be faced with the mirror just like dying. So you rather just use this, cycle your hand, and then use whatever else spirit boost that you can, and it's still a 20k unison, so they're gonna be in the same position that they had or that you were before. Japan is gonna be the secret rare choice. Can't really think of anything else, but overall pretty solid list. I have fun every single time I play it, and yeah, I can't really say too much about it. Here's the turns I recommend anyway. Either you search with the poutine, draw with the Towa to set up your skill list and get that out of your deck so you can play it on field for turn 2 if you don't have any other plays. We do also have the salsa and as well as the shroom. The only downside to this is that usually you have to wait until the secondary turn anyway to play either one of these, because you're not generating a token unless you do attack. I don't think there's really any other way to generate a token other than the Towa, which you're going to be tapped out anyway turn 1, so you may as well just wait. Going second, you can play it. Going first and then going second, you can play both of them. So there you go. If not, usually the route is going to be the Demigur promo by taking life. Usually you don't have that many self-awakeners, and those 2 life in your life, yeah, because you don't take life when you do awaken with the unison, so you might as well just use that. And usually it either goes this here or these 2 here turn 2, or you can swap using these 2 and then just find anything that you need. It doesn't find the unison, but it does find the salsa, which you're going to be wanting anyway. And of course, again, you're going to be using the mirror to draw, to create tokens, to remove, and then using the Demigur promo right after, because you're going to have 2 open energy. And most of the time, having being at 6, if you defended it correctly, or if they're not swinging at your life, you're going to be pretty good position, honestly. And they also have Towa if you really have no other play. You're going to have 2 tokens by that time on turn 3, and you might as well just swing for a 25k dual attacker. Let me just introduce you why this deck specifically will never win an event or not be consistently successful. Anyone who has ran into Doran's Potential Unleashed, where you're trying to swing 10 times in a turn and you have at least 5 or 6 tokens and you just watch them all go away, it feels really bad, especially when it's on your turn. And I can understand the secret identity being gone, and that's one of the reasons why, probably why they released this deck and they banned that card. But Doran's Potential still is free, and it is in one of the best decks in the format right now, which is Reboot Cell. So it feels bad, but it is what it is. And when you run into it, you'll probably stop playing this deck. If you find a way around this card, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to know that. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. I've talked enough. I'm gonna go get some water, because I guess I've talked a little too much, it seems. But I will see you in the next one.